Hello, this is Jamie Cornelson with EDL 854 Module 16, Missing Booster Club Funds. So what do we know? From the case study, there was a lot of information shared. I think the most important facts that I could gather from the case study was that $50 appeared to be missing from the gate collection the evening of a home basketball game. And Mrs. Bowman, who is a parent volunteer and been a part of the school for a long time, had been denied a recent request to use some PTA funds to send her daughter on a trip to New York City for an all-state cheerleading trip. The principal, Mr. Stevens, just shared that PTA funds need to benefit the majority of the students, and just by sending her daughter, it wasn't meeting that criteria. So what do I know? Mr. Stevens, the principal, had a conversation the evening of the basketball game with Mr. Dumas upon his arrival at the game, just on the fact that he had paid to enter with a $50 bill. According to Mrs. Bowman, who was working the gate collection, tickets numbered 78 through 88 were torn and discarded the evening of the game. So what I need to know is, firstly, why is the $50 bill not in the gate bag? It was stated in the case study that two people were working the gate, but it didn't specify if they were at the same gate, or I'm assuming they were at different gates, leaving each person just by themselves. So we need to know where is that $50 bill. Secondly, I need to know what is the procedure for counting the gate money. So do individuals working the gate have a procedure for counting the funds before they hand those off to the administration? And then what is the procedure for discarding tickets, and why were those torn tickets discarded and where? So the problem that we're trying to answer here is, how do we handle the lost money, and most importantly, ensure that this does not happen again in the future? So my plan of action. Step one, first I would visit with Mrs. Bowman and the other person handling the gate to notify them of the missing $50 bill. I would give them the opportunity to come forth with the funds and let them know that there would be no consequences if the money turned up. I would stress that, the PTA funds are used for the benefit of the students, and when they go missing, we are taking away those opportunities from them. I would also let them know that I had a conversation with Mr. Dumas, that he paid with a $50 bill to enter the game. And then, if the $50 isn't turned in, then I would have to inform the PTA of our loss. Step two, I would require that all gates where money is collected have two individuals working at all times. Again, I'm under the assumption that there's a minimum of two gates, placing one person per gate, and thus increasing the number would ensure that no one person would be left alone to handle the money. And this would be a safeguard for the individuals. And I need to put this information into a policy. Again, looking further into our policies, I would require two signatures on accounting sheets for all the bank bags. This would hold the people working accountable and assure that their money is accounted for. And then I need some kind of a procedure for counting that money before it is handed over to administration. I think there needs to be a specific procedure for torn or damaged tickets, not just, discard them at your leisure, but we need to know, we need to have proof that they are in fact torn. And then notifying those workers that if money is going to turn up missing and you have signed that accounting sheet, it is your responsibility to come up with those missing funds. So category 3 is about promoting the success of all students. And the first point I have to make is that it is in the student's best interest to get the funds returned. Requesting more workers at future events will prevent future incidences from occurring. And then writing those procedures and requiring some signatures on accounting slips and a procedure for damaged tickets will make it less likely that money can go missing in the future. So some thoughts, feelings, and values that I had when going through this. When procedures are lacking, it makes it really hard to determine what exactly happened, and it's very hard to prove. I feel like that when trust is broken, it's hard to get back, and it's unfortunate that people can take advantage of the situation. And I really value parent volunteers, and I want to ensure that they are safe by putting procedures in place to protect them and make them feel safe in what they are handling. So some issues open for further investigation. Firstly, I would increase supervision. This would decrease the likelihood of this happening in the future. One additional staff member could help relieve Mr. Stevens of his duties the evening of the game. So somebody to specifically focus on the collection, overseeing those individuals and getting that money to where it needs to be safely. I would like to see if volunteers can be put through any type of a background check so that, we know that the people that are working are safe people and have been making positive choices in other things that they have been accounted for. And also, is there a training that can occur that volunteers can attend? We can educate them on the policies and procedures that are in place before they are allowed to volunteer. So as I reflect, on Standard 8, the first question is understanding those operational procedures relating to fiscal operations of school management. I think by informing the PTA of the missing funds and approaching Mrs. Bowman, you are following those procedures for fiscal operations. By identifying a lack of procedures in the number of people responsible for collecting the funds and increasing it from 1 to 2 people, and also implementing the torn ticket policy. I think the accounting slips for each money bag with signatures and increasing that staff presence would all be procedures that you could implement to contribute to that financial responsibility. Obviously, the commitment to trusting stakeholders and their involvement in the management process is important. So giving them the training and the possible background checks prior to their contribution continues to allow them to contribute and be a part of the school. I think when you allow the volunteer to come forth first with the $50 in a non-threatening or accusing way, and not tying any punishment to it, then you continue to maintain those positive relationships with them and you're not accusing or damaging that relationship. And then by establishing the clear policies and procedures and educating everybody, they continue to want to be involved and encouraged to be involved in that management process. Ensuring organizational systems are regularly monitored and modified. So by adding those additional workers to each gate and holding all individuals responsible is really important. Putting those procedures in place for the torn or damaged tickets will be important. Implementing the accounting ticket with 2 signatures for both people will make it less likely that this incident will occur in the future. And then by providing that training through pre-teaching, and that could decrease the chances that the incident will occur, because when people know that things are happening and how they're happening, then there aren't as many or any loopholes to get through to have this happen in the future. So I think just implementing a few policies, procedures, increasing staff, those things will safeguard you from this ever happening again. So this concludes my presentation, and I thank you for watching.